Welcome back everyone, Meanpooh here, and I'm trying out a game that I've been waiting for since I've seen the trailer drop some time ago. The game is called Cronos: The New Dawn, a sci-fi horror survival shooter, and so far I'm impressed with the game. With that said, I'll be playing this using an RTX 5090 and Ryzen 7 9800X3D at 4K. I will present to you some real gameplay benchmarks so you can see exactly how it runs, but before that, let's talk about the game. If you're into dark, oppressive environments that make you constantly look over your shoulder, Cronos: The New Dawn nails it. It has industrial corridors, abandoned labs, dense biocontaminated zones, and every location oozes tension. The light is moody, the sound design is raw and unpolished in a good way, and there's always this lingering sense that something is watching you. It's even mentioned in the text when loading a game. Cronos is not just a horror game. The world building feels deliberate. There are audio logs, notes, and eerie environmental storytelling that gradually paint a picture of what went wrong. It's clear this world has a history, and a very bloody one. So what happened? Well, from what I've read, future Earth has been devastated by a genetic experiment gone horribly wrong. A mega corporation was experimenting with human DNA, trying to perfect mankind. Instead, they unleashed something far worse. When I read that, I immediately thought Wayland Yutani, but you play as a former military operative turned scavenger who's trying to uncover the truth, survive the horrors, and maybe stop a second catastrophe from happening. It's a familiar setup, but it's told with enough mystery and grit to keep you engaged. The narrative is mostly environmental, but there are a few standout characters to help move things along, including a morally gray scientist and a rogue AI that may or may not be helping you. The combat in Cronos is punchy, brutal, and unforgiving. You've got access to a small but solid arsenal, modified shotguns, makeshift flamethrowers, and a handgun, etc. The typical weapons in these types of games. Ammo is scarce, so there's a heavy emphasis on scavenging and conserving your shots. Melee is valuable too, especially earlier on. But good luck trying to take on a biomutant with your fists. It's doable, but just know you will suffer some health loss. There's a crafting system that allows you to tweak and upgrade your gear with scrap that you find in the world. It's not deep, but it gets the job done. The character you play doesn't say much, but the supporting cast fills in the blanks. And what's cool is the game presents moral choices. Not huge dialogue trees, but smaller environmental decisions. Do you save the survivors or loot their bodies for parts? The world reacts subtly, but it adds layers to your character without turning into a morality meter mess. Enemy designs are disturbing in the best way you can think of. You'll face everything from spliced up humans to nightmarish lab-grown monstrosities, and they look nasty. The way the enemy absorbs other enemies is straight out of the movie The Thing. At all costs, do not let this happen. Like most newer games using the latest tech, performance problems arise. PC players have been reporting stuttering, inconsistent frame rates, and memory leaks, especially on mid-range rigs. Console players, particularly on last gen, are seeing texture pop-ins, long load times, and the occasional crash. Some missions have bug checkpoints or audio glitches that break immersion. The only thing that I've experienced in my gameplay has been when my character is walking, and sometimes it feels like they have walked into quicksand. The character can still move, but it's slow. It's not jittery, but it only lasts a few seconds. I assume that the devs are trying to fix some of these issues, so I think the best thing we can do is just sit back and wait. Fortunately for me though, none of the issues that I've experienced, which has only been one, are game breaking. Despite the rough edges, Cronos: The New Dawn, in my opinion, is a sleeper hit for gamers who like these types of games. The story's intriguing, the combat satisfying, and the world genuinely makes you want to dig deeper. The game is definitely worth checking out, and if you're unsure, just maybe wait for a patch or two. Now for the benchmarks. The gameplay starts earlier in the game. Indoors, outdoors, and some combat. The benchmark ends when the third enemy goes down. I try to play exactly the same during each run, so I apologize if something is not perfect. I also did the comparisons side by side, as some people wanted it in this way instead of the one clip at a time. I also use a mix of base settings with DLSS, frame gen, and ray tracing. Anyway, here we go. Epic plus ray tracing averaged 44 FPS with lows of 29. Epic plus ray tracing plus DLSS quality plus frame gen averaged 121 with 42 for the lows. Epic plus ray tracing plus DLSS quality plus frame gen multi-gen average 172 FPS with lows of 42. Epic with no ray tracing, average 72 with lows of 52. Average plus DLSS Quality with no ray tracing, average 108 FPS with lows of 72. Epic plus DLSS Quality plus frame gen and no ray tracing, average 175 with lows of 64. Epic plus DLSS Quality plus frame gen and multi-gen and no ray tracing, average 244 with an average 63 for the lows. Epic plus ray tracing plus DLSS Ultimate Performance plus frame gen plus multi-gen, average 249 with lows of 62. Epic plus DLSS Ultimate Performance plus frame gen plus multi-gen with no ray tracing, average 332 with lows of 82. So looking at these numbers, at pure Epic plus ray tracing, we're down in the mid 40s, which is borderline playable for a horror shooter where fluidity matters. Even with DLSS Quality, ray tracing only pushes us into the high 60s, and it's still not ideal for 4K on a flagship card such as the 5090. So turning on DLSS is definitely a game changer. Without ray tracing, DLSS Quality nearly doubles performance, pushing Epic from 72 to 108 FPS with much healthier 1% lows. That makes the game feel smoother and more responsive. Frame gen inflates the averages massively. For example, Epic plus DLSS Quality jumps from 108 to 175 FPS with frame gen, but notice the 1% lows don't rise as much, meaning gameplay can still feel uneven in fast combat even though the overlay shows big averages. Adding multi-gen pushes frames even higher, up to 244 FPS without ray tracing. However, the lows don't really improve, so you're still bottlenecked by engine level limitations rather than raw GPU power. If you crank it all the way up to DLSS Ultimate Performance plus frame gen and multi-gen with no ray tracing, you're hitting over 330 FPS average with lows in the 80s. And you know, that's insane performance, but you're sacrificing a noticeable amount of image quality to get there. In my opinion, if you're going to use these settings, the best balance of visuals and smoothness is Epic plus DLSS Quality plus frame gen with no ray tracing. It hits 175 average FPS with good consistency. But if you really just have to have ray tracing, use Epic plus ray tracing plus DLSS Quality plus frame gen. That's most likely the sweet spot at 121 FPS, though the lows in the 40s can cause dips in hectic fights. If you only care about maximum frames, DLSS Ultimate Performance plus frame gen and multi-gen. You'll get 332 FPS, but the game doesn't look as sharp. If you want a good stable gameplay experience, just don't use ray tracing right now, and just stick to DLSS Quality plus frame gen for the best 4K experience. So with that said, let me know in the comments, have you played it yet? What's your experience been like? And if you enjoyed the video, don't forget to hit like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.
encountered malformed biomass. Caution advised. encountered malformed biomass. Caution advised. Generator. It is lacking two users. encountered malformed biomass. Caution advised.